Hello guys, and are you ready for some add-ons for TBC? And this is something that I've been testing on my shaman. This is something that I've been testing in terms of add-ons that I really enjoy and I consider to be almost mandatory. Again, I love add-ons, some people don't. I guess this might not be a video for you, but let's cover some of my favorite add-ons for TBC. And we also cover how to install it because I know a lot of people are having issues with it. So let's go and get started with number 1, ElvUI. And people are either gonna absolutely love this or some people are gonna think it's a little too much. ElvUI is not just an add-on, it is basically replacement for everything. ElvUI changes the whole game. It adds different things for bags, debuffs. You'll notice maps, you'll notice nameplates, you'll notice unit frames. It just basically everything changes with ElvUI, and it's going to be either good or bad. One of the big cool things about ElvUI is that you can use your retail. If you do play retail, you can use your retail ElvUI profile imported to Classic or TBC without any issues whatsoever. As you can see here right now, I'm using the same kind of profile. And the only thing that changed is the energy of the 5-second rule, and you can go and change that. So for people who are not sure, you go to ElvUI, you go into unit frames, you go to individual frames, you go into player, and then you will see power section. In power section, you can tick energy, mana, regen, tick, and this is what this is basically going to do. Again, I need to actually use a spell. What this is basically going to do is going to give you the 5-second rule, and afterwards it's going to kind of show you the energy tick rate. So this is kind of important in TBC, it's not that important in retail. A lot of people get hung up on the fact that everything is going to be changed. Like for example, if you don't like the bags for ElvUI, you can go into the bag section and disable it. If you don't like the unit frames, like for example, in unit frames, group units, I don't have any of these frames enabled because I'm not going to be using ElvUI frames, I'm going to be using Grid2, and we'll talk about that. But this is to showcase that even if you end up using ElvUI, you do not have to use everything that ElvUI uses. You can pick and choose. Like for example, I really like the names. I really like the unit plates here. I really want them. But everything else, I can probably go without. So in order to download this, go to their TukUI website. You'll notice here this is what it's going to look like. You go to add-ons, you'll see ElvUI, and then scroll down to ElvUI download classic TBC. Once you've done that, you can go to your desktop and you should have ElvUI folder. Here you need to right click, you need to extract all. After you've done that, which will take, I don't know, 30 seconds or something, you need to go to your World of Warcraft directory to the TBC section and place these two files that you're going to see right now. And the two files are going to be, as you can see here, ElvUI and ElvUI options. Now, one of the easiest ways to do this is to right click on your World of Warcraft directory, go to open file location. Once you open file location, you can see I have a lot of stuff happening here, but you need to go to Classic. This is the main folder that you want to place it on. You have retail, then I have loads of beta and PTR stuff. You probably won't have those, I'm not 100%. You go to Classic, you'll see interface, you'll see add-ons. Now, you definitely won't see this. This is all my add-ons that I'm using right now. And once you have this folder open, you basically want to open your ElvUI files. You want to select them, you can copy them, and you can paste them in here. And this is how you're going to be manually importing add-ons. Now you'll notice there's also a TukUI Client. TukUI Client is used to install ElvUI, so don't be too scared. You can use this client to install ElvUI, and the advantage of this, I'm going to link everything in the description below in terms of the links. You can do it manually, you can do it using the clients. The advantage of the client is that you can keep it updated with one click. So the first time you're going to install it, you're not going to see this because I already have it set up, but you'll have to go to File and Set Directory, and you'll have to pinpoint the location of your World of Warcraft folder. In order to do this, maybe if you're not 100% sure, you can again right-click on your World of Warcraft, open File Location, and you can honestly copy this, or just pay attention to the exact folder location. And once you go to the client, you can, once you set the pinpoint or set the file, set the directory, you can click on browse and you can install ElvUI. This is going to install it straight away. And every day or every couple of days you can log in. There's been tons of ElvUI updates already. You can launch this client and you can set it to TBC. Again, I have a retail version of this as well. You need to make sure you set it to TBC, and it might say outdated here. If it says outdated, you just click update. Now, another add-on that a lot of people have is Questie. Questie is basically going to be a huge quality of life improvement in terms of doing your quests. It is one of the most popular add-ons in terms of objectives, tracking, and things like that. So it's going to provide a lot of the retail functionality into Classic or into TBC, and all of a sudden you can see here, one of the biggest things when you click your map, you can see, oh hey, there's a quest here, you can shift click it, and things like that. And on the right side, you'll notice you have an objective tracker. Sometimes it's gonna go, like, it's gonna be extremely long. You can control left click and move it if you want to. You can move it anywhere. I feel that's quite important. And I also like to go into Questie, so you can click escape, you can click interfaces or interface, you can go into add-ons and you'll see Questie here. I like to go into the general config tracking, and I like to add innkeepers to the minimap tracking. And all of a sudden you'll notice here that if I go back to my map, you can see here, oh hey, the innkeeper is here, that's cool, the innkeeper is there as well, or the arena battlemaster assistant and things like that. So I can track more things and you can configure it. Keep in mind, there is kind of disclaimer here. It is early iteration of Questie and it can be quite a big resource hog. So keep track of that. If you're getting kind of bogged down or the computer is running a little bit slow in terms of Burning Crusade, you might have to reload or relog every couple hours to reduce the strain. Let's move on to the next add-on that is going to be, again, we're covering some of the basic ones, and at the end we're going to go with some of the less popular ones. AtlasLoot. AtlasLoot, again, it brings some of the retail functionality in terms of, you know, checking your loot. And I have it hidden here with the hidden bar. It's another add-on. I'm not going to really cover it, but maybe a little bit of a mention. So you can go here and click on AtlasLoot. It's going to be on a minimap for a lot of people. And it's just going to show you the drops. Hellfire Rampers. This is something that you're going to be doing when TBC launches. Hey, do I need this? You can go to heroic version and see, oh hey, it drops additional things. That's pretty cool. And honestly, majority of people playing TBC are going to have this because loot is all I need. Let's move on to the next add-on. That is going to be Details. You can see it here already. I can go and click on the little cog icon here. Details is by far the most popular add-on in terms of damage meters in retail, and it's probably going to be the most popular in Classic as well. It is really, really customizable. You can see a bunch of options here. You can get lost in the sea of options. You don't really need to know a whole lot about this. You can go into the create test bars here and you can see what it looks like. You can change the skins and everything. Some of the cool features that everyone should know about Details. If you go to bars general, always tick always show me. This means that if you're like, for example, you can see I am number 17 here. It'll always show you how much damage you're doing yourself, even if you're not in the top 5 or whatever the width or height of your frame is going to be. So this option is really, really cool. Also, if you want to kind of meme a little bit, if you want to meme, you can go to display and you can change your nickname. My name is MadSkillzzTV because that's the character's name, but you can change it to anything you want. And you can kind of meme with other players who are using Details. The next add-on is going to be another add-on that shot up in popularity because of attunements. And you know it. I'm going to open Attune. And this is something that's going to be insanely welcome and is going to be used by so many people. Because how many people are going to try to get attunements for Karazhan? And Karazhan requires a whole lot of things. There's guides out, and this add-on is going to be tracking in real time your progress, reaching 668. What do you need to do after that? What quests do you need to pick up? How do you, like, where are you in the attunement process? And you can see that it's tracking everything at this point. Now, this is another fix for chat bubbles, and this is not an add-on per se. This actually requires a decent amount of messing around with folders, which we're gonna cover. But you see, I'm in an instance right now, and in an instance, my chat bubbles look like this. And this can be quite popular, for example, if you're using DBM, and DBM is gonna use certain like chat bubbles to indicate that, hey, I got a debuff, move away from me, or things like that. This will make those chat bubbles look a lot better. And if you want to do that, you actually need to import a couple of folders into your default interface folder, and we're gonna go and cover it how to do it right now. Probably be brought to this page where you'll see the different type of formats you can get for your chat bubbles, and you'll see a Google Drive where you can download it. Once you click the link, you'll be brought into different styles. You have to click on download, and once you download, you can go to your desktop and extract the folder like I did at the very start of the video, so you should be familiar with it. And you'll see chat bubble variants. This is what it's gonna look like. And there's a bunch of things here. You might be like, what's going on here? The one that I used is no border, no background. So you go into this and you can see 2 files. Now, what you need to do is you need to go to your World of Warcraft directory. Like I said before, right click on it, open file location. You see it here. You go into Classic. You go into Interface. And this is, I already done this. You need to create a new folder. So you need to new folder and you need to name it Tooltips. This is very, very important. Once you name this folder Tooltips, you basically drag and copy these files into here. I already have them, so you can see what it looks like. Once you create Tooltips and copy those 2 files, you might still have to go in game and go into ElvUI and go into Blizzard Improvements, and you'll see chat bubbles, and you want to select remove backdrop, and I'm also using Expressway in font 12. And this is gonna work both inside instances and outside. And you can see, like, again, this is what it is gonna look like, and I think it's really, really cool. Another extreme nifty little add-on that is actually super tiny, but I can't live without at the moment, is BlizzMove. So what the heck is this? So you can go to interface, you can see it here, BlizzMove. What I like to do in BlizzMove is go to global config, and how should the frame positions be remembered? I like to set it to remember permanently, even though it might cause some issues. But what does BlizzMove do? So technically, you shouldn't be able to do this. You shouldn't be able to move my character frame like this. And I love the fact that I can't move it. I love the fact that I can move things like my talents and things like that, if I can mess around with it. And it tries to remember the position of the frame. Like I place it there. And it tries to remember it again. And it tries to remember permanently with the fix I talked about. Now let's talk about some of the boss mods. And DBM is one of those. DBM is something that I've been using for a long time, again, on retail and things like that. But it's just a generally really good add-on that's going to help you or tell you when a boss is using an ability. What I really like to say is that you should try and install. Again, you can see the DBM options here. You can go to the options. You can go to the core and GPU. And you can click Start Test Bars. And you can see what they look like. Now, people might be like, hey, I'm going to move Questie. People might be like, hey, what the heck, dude? How'd you get these bars? They look so cool, amazing. I really, really want it. Maybe you're asking that. Another add-on that helps you to do this is going to be AddOnSkins. Into ElvUI, you can go to AddOnSkins section. You can go to the general and you can click DBM half bar skin. And this is going to apply skins to things like Clique, things like, for other add-ons that don't usually use a skin similar to this, like a transparent skin, AddOnSkins are going to apply it. And all of a sudden, DBM is going to have these cool looking bars. Honestly, a really, really nice option. I should mention that if you don't like, for some reason, the font that's being used, you can go to things like announcement, you can change the font. I'm using Expressway. You can go to timers, bars, you can change them to expand upwards. That's what I'm using as well. I'm also using Expressway fonts. So I try to use a singular font throughout the whole UI, and that is Expressway, if you do wonder about the fonts I'm using. And this is a big one. WeakAuras /WA in chat to open the options, and you can see this little add-on is honestly the most powerful thing you can get, because it is based, it's so easily shareable, and you can get all these cool and awesome looking profiles. You can see here I made a WeakAura for myself in terms of my shaman, in terms of tracking my totems, in terms of tracking, hey, I have a totem, one person is getting this, they're getting this benefit, but if I move out, all of a sudden I'm going to get these kind of notifications saying, hey, I'm not getting the benefit of my totems, I need to go back. Now, the most important part is that maybe you're not familiar with WeakAuras, you don't know how to do any of these cool things, or you need to be a scientist to some extent to really to really get a hang of this. You don't need to know any of this. You can go and import other people's profiles, and you can start using them on a website called Wago.io. So you go to Wago.io, you'll see this WeakAura section here, and you can see Shadowlands Classic TBC. You go to the TBC section and say, for example, you want to get a priest WeakAura for discipline. And you'll see a list of WeakAuras here that you can go and start using it. You can click on any of those, and you'll see an option here for copy TBC WeakAura import string. You click on this, and you go back into the game. Once you're in the game, you can, again, / in chat, you can say / WA to open the WeakAuras section, go to import and Control V to paste the code. Now, I'm not going to do it because I don't have a priest. I'm using shaman. So if you wanted to do it, you just click import group and that's it. It's going to add it. If you are using WeakAuras, I recommend using Masque add-on. This is kind of goes into another segment. Masque. So you can type in / Masque. And this is exactly similar to when I talked about AddOnSkins. Masque is something that's going to be used to apply skins to things like hiding bar, item rack, nameplates, WeakAuras. Basically a bunch of add-ons that support Masque. So your WeakAuras might actually look pretty crap until you're gonna go into Masque, skin settings, WeakAuras, and I'm using a specific skin called Dream, and I also have a backdrop enabled. And this is why you can see my WeakAuras are looking pretty cool. What if I disable this completely? I don't like the way that it looks like at all. I don't like the borders. I don't like this. I'm gonna go and click untick this, Dream, enable. I prefer it a lot better. I actually considered using this skin as well. I thought it would look pretty cool with Shadow. But I went in with Dream, I went in with this, and this is something that I'm using. And again, this is how easy it is to apply skins with Masque and WeakAuras. And then I also talked about DBM and AddOnSkins. And right now we're going to the healer category and we're gonna check out Clique, which is something that I've been using for a very long time. Or if you want another version of it, Clique. This is an add-on that's gonna convert or make mouse over macros to be a lot easier. Instead, if you've been playing a healer or any type of character, you might have to, in order to heal, you might be used to, hey, I'm gonna select myself, I'm gonna click a person, and then I'm gonna use an ability. This can take a long time. This can incur an additional waiting penalty because it takes you a long time to select that person. How do I go about healing a person without having to select them? Open your spellbar or spellbook. You'll notice there's going to be an additional option for click binding configuration. In here, you'll see a very simple window. You click bind spell. Now I want to bind, let's say I'm going to be using a lot of chain heal rank 3s. I can see it right here. I'm going to key bind it to right mouse button, rank 3 chain heal. Now, I don't even need to select myself. I can just right click and I'm casting chain heal on that person. This is something that is going to be used by every or majority of healers. You can achieve the same exact thing by using macros, but it just takes a longer time to do that. It takes a longer time to do that. With Clique, it's click of the button. And if you want to actually add certain macros to Clique, you can go to bind order, run a custom macro, add a macro here for something like a trinket, and then set a keybind for it. Or for example, I want to go to Elemental and I want to keybind my Chain Lightning to right button as well. I can do that. You can see here now I have right button and right button, but I can right click on this. I can change the keybind to be from default to go to enemy. So this is only going to be usable on an enemy target. And now I have two keybind buttons, one for help and one for harm. I can change my chain heal, right click, and change it to friendly. Two abilities keybinded to the same button, but they do different things if it's a friendly target or if it's an enemy target. And this is why, and how long did it take me to do that? Very, very little. This is why this add-on is mandatory for every single healer out there. If for some reason Clique doesn't work for you or you're having some issues or you don't want to use it, like for example, I had some issues with spell ranks early on TBC, but it was fixed. But once I was having those issues, I actually ended up using an add-on called Clique, which is basically the exact same thing, an alternative to it. And if you want to add the button, you click on new, you go to cast a spell because I want to keybind the spell. You can see it here. I can pick from spellbook. I can go, for example, let's select chain heal rank 2. Not bound, I'm gonna add it to numpad button 3. Keep in mind, I have this like MMO mouse, so numpad 3 is actually a button 3 on my mouse. So it's not crazy. You can add all these different things like start auto attack, which can be useful for your damaging abilities. I don't want this. You can go to target, and for example, I'm gonna click on, I only want this on a friendly target, I only want this on a person that's alive. And that's about it. Now all the time, if you're gonna use this specific keybind, you're gonna be casting chain heal rank 2. You can see here I already have a lot of keybindings added already. And then you can also notice that it actually creates a macro that you can like, this is basically what it does. It creates a macro, but it does it in a way simpler form. So there are two ways to create these mouse over macros. You can use Clique or Click. Pick whichever you think is going to be the most useful for you. Now, when you're talking about mouse over macros and addons like Clique, you have to talk about health frame addons, and this is where we're going to Grid2. Grid2 is now available in TBC, and honestly, if you're actually using a retail version, you can import the profile from retail into TBC, and it's probably going to be okay. This is a modified version of the Grid2 that I'm using. This adds Urge Shield, this adds things like tracking, ancestral healing, procs, and things like that. But again, I'm not resto spec, so I can't really showcase it. But Grid2 is just extremely customizable. Like, for example, if I'm casting Chain Heal, you can see that the person got hit by Chain Heal by this like a lighter blue color. And you can see how many targets were affected by the jumps. So now you're like, okay, it's worth casting Chain Heal on that person. And this is some of the customizations you can do. Plus, you can go into Grid2/Grid2. You can create enable teams. So enable teams, I cover this a lot, where you can have basically, if you join like 25-man raid group, you can have Grid2 shown at the bottom. If you join a 5-man group, you can have Grid2 shown like here. And this is something that I made a video on retail, and this actually, the exact same method works in TBC, so you can check that out. You can go into statuses, you can go into debuffs, you can go into raid debuffs, and you'll notice here in general settings, if you select, this will show you all of the debuffs that they're tracking, like in Burning Crusade, Karazhan, Black Temple. You can see all the different debuffs that you'll be able to see. They'll be able to see on your frames and to see what they do. Should they be dangerous? Should I make them bigger or whatever? In order to show the cooldown or the duration, you need to install another add-on called OmniCC. And in OmniCC, you need to go to minimum cooldown size and make it around 40 in order to show the duration. And this is basically the kind of like a hack fix for it, because the duration of some of the abilities, Grid2 does not show it. So you want to know like, hey, Rejuve got 10 seconds left on it or something. But because you're using OmniCC and you're using ElvUI, let's say you're in the same position as me, ElvUI also has this option to track cooldown. But because you're using OmniCC, because OmniCC only works with Grid2, you can disable, you can go to ElvUI cooldown text and disable cooldown text. So you don't have overlapping cooldown text from OmniCC and ElvUI. So basically, if you're using Grid2 with ElvUI, you have to install OmniCC and disable cooldown text in ElvUI. And this has been my overview of the whole World of Warcraft add-on selection. And honestly, there's a couple of ones that I really enjoyed. Again, this was an extremely long video. I do apologize. Like, I really do apologize. There's so many honorable mentions, like Leetrix. There's like Nameplate XCT. I just can't. On top of my head, there's so many add-ons that I could have mentioned, and there's so many really popular add-ons that I could have mentioned, but I didn't want to. I covered the ones that I have, and some of the lesser known ones that people might not heard of, because I think they deserved a really good mention here. Again, I apologize for the long video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like the UI. I hope you like the add-ons, and I'll see you